Surviving Thailand 101.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Surviving Thailand 101. I'm your host, Fido and Sydney, here to break down helpful tips and advice so travelers and expats can have a fantastic time here in Thailand and to avoid common cultural faux pas. Well, for today's episode, we are going to be covering the buzz surrounding vaccines. Yes. Vaccines, probably the buzzword of the moment, along with Sinovac and AstraZeneca. While it may be a topic that is covered immensely these days on social media, traditional media, but more often than not, the buzz surrounding the topic of vaccination or vaccines in Thailand is more negative than positive. I noticed that the frustration surrounding vaccination or vaccines amplified on May the 1st, which was when the first time that the Prom application was, receiving registration from the public who are over 60 and people with 7 chronic illnesses can basically register for the vaccination. And as expected, the application crashed. My dad, who tried registering multiple times, was met with like a spinning wheel that lasted more than 20 minutes. And each time he selected the date and the venue, it was just, full. And it wasn't until his 7th time the app froze with the wheel spinning, and finally he was about to give up. He exited the application, but then managed to get into the app again, and he found out that his app was, completed. So, it was so weird. So basically it took a total of at least 3 hours, thank goodness. But it is quite disappointing because the Public Health Ministry said that, artificial intelligence or AI technology was used solely for this, COVID-19 vaccine registration application. And it's also because, what should have been like this seamless and smooth experience was like an utter disappointment, and it was more of a burden to us as people who wanted to, register for something important as a vaccine. So, some people reported that the system canceled the appointment without notification. Some people reported that the app alerted that they already had their first vaccines before they even had an initial appointment. So that was kind of disappointing. And it is not surprising that we need one more extra thing to slow the speed of the vaccination process. The app also became like the butt of every joke because Ma means doctor and Prom means ready. Coined together, it means doctor ready. The application, the quantity of vaccines and the venue is anything but ready. It's just, disappointing and very, very frustrating. And, and basically the government has been trying very hard to, speed up the pace of those being vaccinated. The government did speak of allowing walk-in jabs, but this raised questions on the availability of the vaccines. If one did not register and went to the venue for a walk-in jab, does that even guarantee that one will receive the vaccine? There was also the confusion of quote unquote registering for a walk-in jab, which was kind of like confusing. It wouldn't be called a walk-in if it required registration, right? So, in the end, this walk-in vaccination was quickly shut down with the prime minister saying that he was concerned about the number of people flooding to the venue and, the soaring infection rates, especially in Bangkok. It was just, too risky to allow just, random walk-in registration. Jabs for foreigners. This is something that has been discussed on social media as well as a lot of the Facebook groups. Basically, there's a confusing message on the availability of vaccines for foreigners. I said a while back, I think in the beginning of the year, that vaccines will be available for expats living in Thailand as well. But it's just not now, I think. It's really confusing because some foreigners who has social security or pink cards were able to sign up for vaccines through the MAPROM application, and I saw that on Twitter. But the COVID-19 Situation Administration, or the CCSA, said that the vaccines would only be available for Thai nationals. And even though the government has reiterated that there would be vaccines for foreigners, the CCSA, developing, a website for foreigners to sign up. But, the timeline is still, in the dark. It's unknown. I mean, the vaccine rollout for Thai nationals is coming at a really, really slow pace. So you could imagine what it's like, to get to foreign nationals living in Thailand. I think you guys, I have to say might be down the line, and it might be you guys have to wait longer for this, unfortunately, because we are facing some shortages of vaccines as well. And of course, there is not a day that goes by that the government does not get criticized, especially on the process, procurement that is, of course, not moving at a timely pace. And, I'm citing various comments on Twitter and Facebook. They're saying there are more COVID-19 variants than the available vaccines and people being inoculated. So it is very, concerning there. Regarding vaccines, firstly, there is the issue of the availability of the vaccine brands. Rewind a few months ago, we were, betting against two brands, that is AstraZeneca and Sinovac. However, as information became more available about its efficacy and the various side effects, namely, blood clots and deaths being reported, the public confidence in these two brands, just dwindled, and fast as well. So on social media, there is, this air of uncertainty, fear, and frustration as to why the public were given, two brands of these vaccines. And according to, Swandusit poll, when the public was asked which COVID-19 vaccine brands that Thais trust the most, coming at number one, 75.11% is the Pfizer, 72.14% is Moderna. Coming at number three, Johnson & Johnson at 68.52%. 65.89% coming at number four is AstraZeneca, and at 61.89% is the Sputnik V, which is, coming in at number five. So basically no mention of the Chinese-made inactivated virus Sinovac vaccine, which is, one of the first vaccines to be rolled out alongside AstraZeneca. For more information, this poll was conducted online with 2,644 people throughout the country from May the 17th to the 20th to gauge their responses about the government's campaign. And in addition to the vaccine fiasco, there was this, quote unquote PR campaign that received so much backlash from the public. It was when we were seeing more celebrities and, influencers and whatnot getting their jabs. And they were, reviewing the vaccination process through their social media accounts and, about their sentiment and whatnot. And not only did, it received a lot of flack online, but, social media users were raising questions, regarding, these celebrities using their social status to, secure jabs before normal citizens. or even, using celebrities as a medium to convince people to get vaccinated. And also, getting vaccinated with a vaccine which has lower efficacy rate. And, and also there's a growing frustration on top of, just not letting the public have a choice in selecting the brands. So there's that. And so if we look back at the poll, the negative sentiment towards the vaccination program in Thailand is pretty high. 59.64% of Thais are very concerned about the side effects from COVID-19 vaccines. And there's only 2 brands that's being used at the moment, but we have seen the news that there would be alternative vaccines coming in, but right now, as of this moment, it's still, the 2 major brands. Getting celebrities and influencers to help sway public opinion is, definitely, you could tell that it's a recipe for disaster, because over 67.74% would trust in medical people working in the medical care sector for them to be providing information about the vaccines. Now, if you ask the public, about 64.39% will get the vaccines, while 22.3% are still unsure. 13.31% will not get vaccinated. So, basically it remains to be seen here especially with the rollout of the alternative brands out there. The government right now is, hailing an ambitious plan for Bangkok to at least vaccinate 70% of the population. That is really ambitious, because we're talking about 2.5 million people per month, and, setting a target of reaching herd immunity within 2 months. So I guess we have a long way there. I mean, with the rising number of people infected and the pace of the vaccines roll out and people getting vaccinated, it's just not, promising at the moment, but fingers crossed that it will get better there. All right. And with that concludes our episode of Surviving Thailand 101. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Dawn Sneaker พิมลพรสวัสดีค่ะ